Hi, welcome to Eclectic Homeschooling. Today we'll be talking about learning styles. Hi, I'm Lori Pruett. I'm the mom of 8 homeschooled graduates who were homeschooled from the beginning. And now I'm the happy grandmother of 9 grandchildren so far. I also have a bachelor's degree in special education, which means that I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of struggling students. I've also been a private tutor for over 30 years. It still surprises me when I can say I've been doing something for 30 years. But most of all, I am passionate about helping you and your family enjoy your learning journey. Learning styles refer to the way that we take in and process information. We all have strengths and challenges in the way that we learn. Some of us are more visual, some are more auditory, and some are more hands-on. But most of us are some combination of all three. But we will lean on our strengths when we face any kind of learning challenge. That's why we can't go wrong with a multi-sensory approach. Visual learners learn best by what they see. Those with a verbal strength often like reading or writing, and spatial learners prefer pictures, graphs, or charts. They might prefer pencil and paper tasks, workbooks. They actually like workbooks, art. They might like using color or highlighters, stickers, or flashcards, or any kind of visual prompt that might help boost their learning and memory skills. These are the students who might be looking out of the window or doodling when you'd rather them be working. Auditory learners do best when they focus on what they hear. They process most easily if they can hear it and interact verbally. They do best with auditory prompts. They might prefer reading aloud, singing, music, and discussion. They might learn best through verbal instructions, oral assignments, and using audiobooks. These are the students who might be humming as they work. Hands-on learners are often referred to as tactile, that's the sense of touch, or kinesthetic, meaning they learn best through movement. These learners need to wiggle. They like to incorporate movement and touch. They like games, manipulatives, and any kind of sensory input. They like to build things, to make things, and they do well with tasks that involve muscle memory. These are the students who might tap their pencils while they work and just can't sit still. Today, I want to show you how to use a simple checklist that I made for you that you can be more aware of how your children learn so that you can minimize frustration and maximize success. This will help you as you choose resources, use resources, and recognize when you need to add someone else to your team. The beauty of home education is that you get to pick and choose what works best for your student. Let's use spelling as an example. If your student is more visual, they might like a curriculum that has a lot of opportunity for writing the words, even completing pencil paper activities, and using flashcards. Your auditory learner might do best with a curriculum that leans on verbal practice, like daily spelling tests or practice spelling aloud. They can even record themselves spelling out loud. If your student's more hands-on, you can look for a resource that uses more of a game format or some kind of hands-on practice like snap together letter blocks or Scrabble letter tiles. Anything to help them move while they're learning. Leaning into their strongest modality, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, is most helpful in the areas where students struggling. At the same time, we want our children to develop skills in all the modalities. A simple plan is to use their strongest modality in their weakest area and develop their weakest modality in their strongest academic area. Learning styles can help too when you're using the resources that you already have. Just keep in mind that there's no pressure to find a perfect curriculum, with each of your children using something completely different. So before you rush out to find something new when your student's struggling, start by tweaking what you already have on hand. There's a lot of value in sticking with something that you already know well. It's less of a learning curve for you, then you can put your time and energy into adapting it to the learning style. Let's go back to spelling for a minute. If you already have a visually based spelling program, but you have an auditory student, tweak the way you use it. Listen to your students spell those same words out loud. Then have them spell them aloud while they're writing them, or they can even record themselves. Give them a pre-test, and then a daily test on the words that need more practice. You can trim back on the paper pencil activity for them, or you can even work on it together if they're super frustrated. Let's do the same thing for a hands-on student. You have a strongly visual program. For that hands-on student, add some movement and muscle memory. You can tweak that strongly visual spelling program by adding a sensory experience. To practice spelling by writing words in cornmeal on a cookie sheet, you could make the letters using clay. I already mentioned using like those snap together letter blocks or your Scrabble tiles. Just keep them moving while they're learning. They can type it. They can paint their words with watercolors. They can finger spell their words with sign language. I like using a 4-color pen to highlight trouble spots in the word that need a little more attention. They can even shoot basketball or jump up and down when they hear the long E sound, or whatever skill they are working on. These ideas can be used for any subject. You might be surprised how creative you can be about helping your students excel and succeed. Last but not least, your awareness of these learning styles can help you build a team. A team? Another beautiful thing about home education is that we don't have to go it alone. We're clearly the directors of our children's education, but we don't have to do it all. Sometimes we need to add other people to our team, like online courses, tutors, or co-ops where we share the load with others. For some of you, it might mean that you need help with cleaning or meal prep. Maybe you need a mother's helper a couple mornings a week so that you can work with a child on a challenging subject without the interruption, right? If that's not in your budget, it's not a problem. There are always options. Think outside your box. Once I helped a mom with her child who was having trouble reading, and she helped my child with art. Each one of us stayed in our strength zone, but we could help each other out. So who could help you? Maybe it is a class or a course or a tutor. Maybe it's a parent, your spouse, or a trusted neighbor or friend. And with technology, there are even more possibilities. It can be long distance family or friends that could help you using an online platform. When do you need that person on your team? Parents often find it easier when their dominant learning style matches up with their child's learning style. When different learning styles start to collide, it's time to consider adding someone to your team. If either one of you are crying, you're reduced to tears over a certain subject or challenge they're having in that subject, it's time to consider a tutor or class, some outside help. But if you are both crying, it's definitely time for some outside help, even if it's temporary. If you're a visual learner and your child's more hands-on, you might be frustrated that they can't sit still. You can change and work on that for yourself. But if adapting to all that wiggling is more than you have the mental bandwidth to do right now, have another person on your team that can set you and your child up for success. Step number 1 is to take a good look at the strengths and challenges in different subject areas. As far as the actual learning styles go, there are many online resources that will help you take a deeper dive in pinpointing a specific learning style. But this simple sheet that I'm showing you right now is something that I've used to help myself and other families for years to sort out which subject areas present the most challenge. Let's take a closer look. I blew it up a little bit. Complete one of these sheets for you and for each of your children, and likely a pattern will start to show up as you see their strengths and challenges. We want to both lean into their strong areas and develop their weaker areas. You can use your child's strongest modality, whether they're visual or auditory or kinesthetic, in their weakest area. For example, if your auditory learner struggles with reading, use the auditory pathway for reading. If they are doing great in math, then you could use that subject to strengthen their weaker modality. Maybe it's their visual skills. If they get stuck on a concept, then drop back to the auditory pathway and explain the concept again. The bottom half of this checklist expands to enrichment and other skill sets besides the core academics. Although this worksheet is not directly assessing learning styles, it's a practical assessment of where your child needs the most support. You probably already have a good idea of what their learning style might be, and if not, again, with a quick search online, you can find an abundance of checklists to help you with that part. I wanted to give you a resource that would help you actually put that into practice and make it work for you. So you have a reference, especially of adding someone else to your team. We often don't think twice about hiring others in enrichment areas like art or music or sports, but we can extend that to the core subjects as well. Now it's your turn. Complete that sheet for yourself and each of your children. And then you're going to have this simple guide to know where your children might excel and where they might struggle. You'll also know where your teaching strengths are and where you might struggle. It's time to mix and match the resources that work best for your family, and you can tweak what you have on hand. If you would like more guidance and support in choosing and using curriculum based on your children's learning strengths and challenges, your learning strengths and challenges, then check out my video series, my top 5 homeschool hacks. I'll walk you through it step by step. Here's the direct link to my top 5 homeschool hacks video series. And also, I put on there my general website if you want to know more about what we do. Happy learning!